Hi, this is Siofra's Magic Alcove, and I'm Siofra Bradigan. So, I wanted to talk today about the importance of finding beauty. I think that in these times that we're in right now, where things are looking kind of dark and sometimes dangerous, and winter is coming for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, um, that one of the things we get caught up in is all of this human conflict and confrontation and all that all that jazz of noise and whatnot that seems and is in a lot of cases important as far as freedoms and lives and that kind of thing is concerned, but it's very overwhelming, and we can get really drawn into and begin to drown in all of that activity and emotion and that kind of thing. And one of the things that it's important for us to be able to focus on is seeing and acknowledging the beauty that is in the world without trying to judge ourselves as to whether we're taking care of it well enough or doing our part well enough or any of that stuff, just to see it in its state, whatever it happens to be. And it the thing is it doesn't have to be anything big. I mean, it doesn't have to be some grand moment um, in the world, like climbing to the top of the mountain and watching a sunrise or a sunset or anything like that, although those things in themselves can be beautiful. But I think the trick is being able to find beauty and joy in small things along the way to sort of keep our heart engaged in hope. I mean, I remember at the prison when the one of the guards was so angry at all the swallows because whenever he walked through the yard, the swallows would dive at his head because they were protecting their nests and so forth, and how sad that made me. That here was this wondrous, wild, and amazing, beautiful thing doing its being, what it was, and like available to view and enjoy. And instead of getting enjoyment, pleasure out of it, it created this icky annoyance thing in him, and how sad it was. And it started me thinking about the whole subject, contemplating it, because it takes very little to give me joy, and beauty is one of the things that gives me joy. Just seeing nature and seeing, um, just seeing things. I mean, like, I don't know, how do you. I've talked a lot about what it was like living up north, living in the middle of the bush in harsh winters and northern lights, and these things are outrageously beautiful and amazing and natural environments and so forth. But the biggest thing about living up there was being able to be in the world without so many people. And a lot of us don't have that luxury. I certainly don't have that luxury now. I'm in a city, a small town, really, but still there's plenty of people around, and potential for some kind of a conflict with other inhabitants and so forth. So, it's not. The fact that I was able to experience that and then bring it back with me to be able to see what's in front of my face and what is here um, and enjoy it certainly has made a difference living amongst people. I mean, I see a cat walk across the road, or a bird flying through the sky, or, a flower blooming in my yard that's unexpected, or um, in the grocery store, seeing an infant grinning ear to ear at me, or at nothing. Hmm. It can be things that I make with my own hands, that I, enjoy the process of creation, making my wands, and trying to make something substantial that then can move away from me and be a part of the world that might give someone else a joy. Um, yeah, so for me, it's not about looking good, or although I love a good outfit, I love color. I mean, there's a lot of things that sort of come into that idea of beauty. It's very individual, obviously, as far as it goes. But thinking about what beauty means to you, what makes your heart light or light up, um, gives you that lift, that seeing something outside of yourself, getting outside of your own head. And I think that beauty is one of the things that can help us do that, beauty and joy. And I did that video on hope a while back because, you know, despair was something that was going on a lot, and we certainly still have plenty of that. But just making time to just find those little things that mean something to you specifically, whether you have a hobby or a craft that you're interested in, whether it's a wordsmith, whether, there's words that bring you joy and that you think are beautiful, um, something that enhances your experience of being alive, that, like I said, gets you out of your head. That's why it's hard to talk about, because I have to be in my head to talk. Yeah, I'm gonna go through one of those phases, aren't I? But when we had, I think our last live show, I was talking about the ice crystals floating in the moonlight and around my head, and like walking through a sea of stars. That certainly is something I would consider an incredible beauty in the environment I was in, and finding the beauty in whatever environment you inhabit, whether it's a desert and there's a rain and all of a sudden all the cacti and whatnot suddenly burst into bloom because they've got, like, a few hours to get the job done, and or just explode into a riot of color. Or watching nature, getting acquainted with the animals that live in your area, whether they're flying through the air or crawling on the ground or hopping around or what have you. I think it's important for us to have other living things around us, not just people, and that's something that helps. Like if we have a pet, like a dog or a cat or a rabbit, um, or a bird, I mean, some other life form, something that we can connect with, that isn't caught up in all of the conflict, politics, viewpoints, um, shifting realities, confusion, uh, attempts at impressing. I don't know. It's a step towards gaining a certain amount of overview of our own lives and our position in it and the time that we happen to be in. A lot of times people are going like, I wish it was like it used to be in the good old days, which is a phrase I don't understand because there is no time in the good old days that was better in any substantial way. Mostly worse as far as illnesses and diseases and filth and conflict and so forth was concerned. The romanticized idea that things will suddenly go away and everything will work out the way we want it to or the way we think it should or what have you. Because certainly, the universe is all about change and chaos and growth and shifting and transforming from one state to another. It's in a constant state of flux. So there's no static state that would be satisfying. Not for long, because I'm sure we'd find something wrong with it. Someone would find something wrong with it, but the ability to get out of our head and get out of our lives, even for a few minutes at a time, is a valuable ability to have. It's important to be able to do that. So, when we're depressed or overwhelmed, looking at smaller pieces of our life, finding the butterfly, finding something that satisfies our need to help. I mean, we all have different things that we can do. And, a lot of you are doing some amazing work out there, like taking care of animals that are abused and that kind of thing, which is a thing of beauty in my eyes and not something I am set up to do here as far as it goes, but still, it's like we don't have to, each one of us doesn't have to try and do everything. It's okay to just do what you can and to be where you are in your life and to survive in some cases if that's all you can do. But find that little thing, you know, um, having a house plant. I don't know, looking at art, the world art and human art have correlations together because a lot of times the art that we really like represents nature and gives us that overview, I think. So I love color. So I'm so happy that I can see color. I'm so glad that even though animals, a lot of them don't see in color, they are decked out in color I can see, even if they don't see it in each other, which is sort of interesting. But that I can perceive contrast between things, and because of contrast, I can notice certain things in different ways. And one of the reasons why I like art. So, yeah, music. I had a time once where I was in my house when I was a kid by myself. And I just decided I was going to start singing. And I didn't think this subject was going to make me cry. Goodness. Anyway. So I went through my house and I just sang every positive song I knew. At the top of my voice. I guess that's because when I think about the things I've been through in my life, and the terror and the confusion and so forth, that things about my childhood that were positive were those kinds of things. Rare moments. This is very unexpected. Here, I thought I was going to do a video on just, you know, saying nice things. But it definitely brings up how important it is and how much it meant to me to be able to find something to have hope in, since the people I lived with were some of them were evil. So I guess this is going to be a different subject altogether. The things that got me through. I once found the softest sand in the world in the middle of the woods. I don't know why it was there. There wasn't sand anywhere else. And I came upon it walking in the woods, and there it was. And it was soft like talcum powder and warm from the sun. And I sat in that little patch of sand for hours, just touching it with amazement. So I guess that would be an early memory of something outside of myself that was beautiful, untouched by the people I lived with, who were extremely confusing to me. I did other stuff too, like, well, being outside was definitely one of the things that helped me a lot in my childhood. And I would just sit and watch a patch of grass and watch the bugs going about their business, wonder where they were going, where they came from, watching how busy they were, or just laying on the grass and looking at the sky and looking at the clouds, climbing trees, sitting in them. sorry. But the contrast between the simple, pure kind of just being and then the other stuff people are confusing to me. I don't understand most of them. Today, on my Facebook page, a memory was popped up about someone who wrote in a couple years ago now when I had supported the trans community and how offended that they were that I did that. And they were leaving the channel. And I'm like, yeah, good, go away. And that's kind of things that just completely baffle me. I don't comprehend it. And I think there's a lot of us like this that feel this way. I don't think I'm the only one. The question is what to do. What can we do? And can we do anything except continue and hold on and hope and find something worth living for, worth being for? My pets were important to me. My dog, my cat. I looked to them to learn how to act. I think they did a good job of teaching me how to be a better person. And to, decide to be a person I wanted to be, the kind of person I want to be. We all have those moments. I don't think I've ever shared that I actually tried to kill myself when I was 6 years old. I was very committed to the idea. I decided that it wasn't really worth hanging around anymore. And my mom told me one day that plants were dangerous and I shouldn't eat them because, they were poisonous and they might kill me. And I clearly remember going outside and thinking about what she'd said and considering it and started eating all the plants I found. I was like, I wanted to go away. And then I suspect that spirit led me to the field of clover I ended up in. Ended up in a field of red clover. And I like things that are sweet. And I started eating them, pulling out their little flower ends and sucking on them with the little honey that's on them. And I spent the rest of the day in that field of red clover eating it. So I'm glad. Even with all of the things that I've been through, I believe in the world. And I believe in people's potential to be better than they are, to let go of pettiness and jealousy and anger and revenge and vindictiveness and ego, fighting for the wrong things. And I don't know why. I still believe in people. Considering all I've been through, I shouldn't. But I still do. And I think that that's a choice. I'm glad I made my connection with life beyond humans. Because without that, I don't think I'd still be here. And Native Americans um, have, well, something I read about them, I should say, since I don't know, um, talk about the fact that life is a gift from the Creator, and what we're supposed to do is spend our life paying back for that gift. Um, that's the greatest thing that we have, the opportunity to be conscious and aware of ourselves as individuals and the trials that that brings up for us, feeling separated from the universe. And there's like, over the years, I've heard people complaining I didn't ask to be born, I didn't want to be here, why am I here, and whatnot. It's like, but we are, here we are, we're here. In the scheme of the universe and the vastness of time, the time we have here is nothing at all. But it seems important anyway. But what's the most important thing that we can learn? To appreciate beauty, each other, to be kind to ourselves, not be afraid, to know who we are. I don't know. I know that for some unknown reason I'm an optimist, generally, and joyful and happy, easily pleased and entertained. I laugh readily, but not at humor that makes fun of other people. I like the air, breathing it in and out. Like working with my hands. So I guess this is exactly why beauty is important to keep us going. Perspective. I think that connection with nature right at the start is what kept me here sincerely. And I used to have that feeling that this was just sort of a torture center, jailhouse thing. And I wanted to get out, go home where things were easy. And then I had to change how I thought about that and decide that this actually was a beautiful place and it was okay for me to be here and okay for me to enjoy it and find ways to love it and make it something wondrous for myself. I know we all have different kinds of lives. We're all going through different stages of development. We all have different experiences. I think we have that in common, that we're always wondering what's the purpose of being here? Are we doing it right? So, lowering expectations, huh? Not being too grandiose with our desires, and making things closer to home, making small items, having a good meal, good conversation, petting our pets, going for a walk in the woods, looking up at the stars, wondering about the nature of all reality, and know it's okay if we don't know the answers, because it's a journey. I've made a lot of little things in my house over the years. I remember one time when I was looking around my room years ago and realizing how many things that were in my bedroom and in my house that I had made with my own two hands, and it felt good. I liked that. So I think that's part of what magic is all about, is finding those things that we can surround ourselves with and become a part of that make us feel that way. Give us a space in which to be and exist, and to see some things of ours reflected back at us and know that they'll stay even when we're not here. Our lives are short. I was in the grocery store a while back now with a in line. It was a long line. I don't know why it was so busy that day. It was crazy. And there was a young man. Was he standing behind me or in front of me? I can't even remember. He was next to me. That's all I remember. And we were talking about how long the line was, and how much, and he was talking about how much time he spent there. And he decided to inform me that although he knew he was young, he also wasn't afraid to die of COVID because, everybody dies. And I just sort of looked at him and thought, you're a moron. Only someone in their 20s could say something so stupid that life isn't precious, and that when you're older, it's okay that you're just going to die. We know it comes for us all at different ages. But only a young person would think that every day and every moment wasn't important. I thought about all the people who died from COVID in the beginning, especially when people had this callous attitude. Well, they lived a long life, they were old, they were going to die anyway, so I just felt like, really? So every minute counts. So do your best to enjoy them all. And don't waste time on stupidity. Because when it comes down to it, you can't take anything with you except yourself and what you might have learned, if you learned anything at all. So do your best. Be kind and compassionate. And not get caught up in all the stupidity. And be especially kind to yourself for not always being the smartest person in the room or in the world, and for making mistakes. In the end, it's not going to matter. What's going to matter is how other people remember you. So, this is a good example of my idea of what I'm going to do and what the reality is. Not the same. But I am being me. Hopefully I haven't bummed everyone out by doing this video. I guess I better put a trigger warning on this one. But, you know, my joy and laughter is just as genuine as everything else. I'm a package. Not just one thing, and none of us are. So, I had no idea that I was thinking like this or feeling like this until I sat down and started to talk. So, up here we have got the holidays coming, and that's often a time when I'm more emotionally fragile anyway, because of all the stuff that happened in the family that was associated with holidays. Maybe that has something to do with it. Equinoxes just happened, and I'm already feeling the change in the air. But I'll be fine. Kind to yourself. Do something that makes you happy. So this is Siofra Bradigan. And this has been Siofra's Magic Alcove. Recipe.